Celsius. With little finances and homes not adequate enough to keep the heat in, many families struggle during this season. The elderly are vulnerable and physically challenged to fight the cold during these days and nights. Young children must walk through snow and ice in order to get to school and return to a chilly and bitter cold home. Imam Hussein Development and Relief Foundation are determined to help. We will be providing households with coal to burn throughout the winter. $150 is all we need. $150 will be enough to provide heat and warmth for one household for the whole of winter. That's $150 for 4 months. You can donate via PayPal, bank transfer, or visit us at www.ihdrf.org to make a donation. Our Imams tell us the best of you are those who help those who are desperate. Help us spread the warmth. Thank you.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We do take in all your questions. If you have any question you'd like to ask on any topic in regards to Islamic fiqh, please send them via the WhatsApp, the email address ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv. Give us a call 0203-515-0199. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section and inshallah, the technical team will be able to forward it to me and I'll be able to discuss with the Sheikh. I'm your host Mohsin Shah and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ar. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Sheikhna, before we begin, shall we go through some of the questions we didn't manage to answer last week, inshallah, from our viewers? One is, Assalamu alaikum. When we give sadaqah money to the needy, do we have to mention to them that this is from sadaqah?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. When giving sadaqah is not obligatory to say to them that this is sadaqah and I'm paying you because you're poor and mustahaq and needed. We just give it and that's it. Inshallah, Allah will reward both. Inshallah.
Sheikh, another question from one of our viewers. Can we check out a girl with the intention of marrying her? Now, I'm not sure whether check out means to have a look at her or check out means to do a background check on her and her family and so forth. So, Islamically speaking, with the intention of marriage, what can we do?
And overall, the ulama would allow for the individual to look at the female for marriage purpose, for the male, for the intention of the marriage, of course, to look at her. He has got the right to do so, but not lustfully, without any, indecent intentions. Yes, the one can do so. Even background check to see, because they do also check as well, for the male side as well. They check on his background. So yes, they can do so.
Inshallah. Sheikhna, is it permissible for a Muslim to practice personal ijtihad on grounds of his limited Islamic education and general knowledge and perhaps encouraged by the impetus of freedom and expression in Islam?
You see, all fields needs professionals, expertise. You can't just jump in the middle of a specific field and give your own opinions. If you're not a politician, you can't give your own opinion in politics. If you're not a lawyer, you cannot give your opinion about specific legislations. If you're not an engineer, you can't give your own opinion with regards to engineering. Even if you've read something, you have general knowledge about these fields. To solve sophisticated and complex issues, you have to go back to the experts. Likewise, the ilm al-fiqh and jurisprudence also needs expertise and experience in order for that individual, for that faqih, for that marji', to be able to extract the rules from its sources, which are the Quran and Sunnah, and of course the ijma' of the ulama over the ma'soom's narration and the aql as well. These are 4 sources of the rulings, Islamic rulings. So the one should have reached the level of ijtihad be able to extract those rulings from these four sources. Otherwise, it's not permissible. That's why we are muqallid. We do taqleed from the marja, as we do taqleed from the for the doctors when we go to the GPs or to get the prescriptions. That's some kind of taqleed. You follow the opinion of the doctors and the surgery and so forth for the purpose of treating yourself. You can't consume, let's say, specific medicine without prescription.
Yes.
Otherwise, you might get even worse, more ill. So you have to go back to the experts to get the right results. Otherwise, the one could fall into committing sins in this situation.
Sheikh, is it mandatory upon the mukallaf to learn the issues that he would often need to know and to obtain the fatwa of the mujtahid and his rulings on those issues?
Yes, indeed, the mukallaf needs, the one who is in the age of adolescence, the age of bulugh, needs to learn the masail of what is often needed, such as the ahkam of the salah, how to recite the salah correctly, how to perform wudu, for example. It's wajib. Otherwise, if you do the wudu in the opposite way or wrong way, then you have to repeat your salah, for example. Or if you don't do takbirat al-ihram in the salah, to begin the salah, the whole salah is batil. Even if you are jahil or ignorant about this mas'ala, because this is rukun. Takbirah, to open the salah with is rukun, is the principle of the salah, one of the principles of salah, fundamentals of salah. If you don't do it, the salah is batil. So you must learn these ahkam so that you have to be sure in the safe side that your salah has been performed along with the wudu and other ahkam as well in good and perfect condition.
Inshallah. Sheikh, a certain individual used to follow a fully qualified marja, but as a result of political and publicity public influence on him at the time, he switched to another marja. Then after those circumstances faded away, he returned back to the first marja. Is there any problem regarding this matter?
There is no problem with this issue because sometimes one needs to change his marja for some reasons. For example, if he discovers that the other marja is a'lam, most knowledgeable, according to some opinion which says you have to and you must follow the a'lam, then you can switch to another marja, and so forth. Other reasons are also mentioned that the one can actually switch to another marja.
Sheikh, some youth have CDs containing pornographic films. Would it be permissible to steal those CDs and destroy them without them knowing? This is done in the spirit of reforming them and to stop the spread of these CDs in society with a view to curtail their damaging effect.
You see, an overall evil and vice, or as known in Arabic, munkar, should be prohibited and refrained using wisdom and persuasive teachings and preaching. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. So we try to use the best manner, the good way in which we would attract the others towards faithfulness, piety, taqwa, and so forth. In one of the narrations by Amir al-Mu'min alayhi salam, he states, ثلاث خصال من كنا فيه. 3 features, if we had them, then this is the results. سلمت له الدنيا والآخرة. He would be in safety in dunya and akhirah. He would be in safe side for the dunya, as well the akhirah, of course, the reward in the akhirah. Number 1, من أمر بالمعروف وأتمر به. The one who would enjoin good, would tell others to do good things, to pay charity, to fast, to pray, to do salat al-rahim with the relatives, for example, respect the elderly, and so forth. Whatever is known to be as ma'roof. So the one who enjoin it and also practice himself. So he perform as well this ma'roof, not just to tell others and he doesn't do it. No, he would tell others, guide them, and also he would also perform that ma'roof. Number 2, وَنَهَى عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَانْتَهَى عَنْهُ. And anything to be known as evil, as vice, as munkar, as sin, as haram, would also refrain and forbid people from this act of evil or munkar or sin. Also, he would also refrain himself from this act. So let's say he would tell the youth that don't look at the opposite gender in the streets, at college, at university, it's haram, but that's lustful looking. But he would, in his privacy, look at the images or videos or opposite gender, for example, in a lustful way. And number 3, وحافظ على حدود الله, and the one who would observe and respect Allah's boundaries. Allah's boundary meaning that Allah has, Azza wa Jal, has legislated ahkam, haram and wajib. What is haram to be known, what is wajib to be known, and of course as well the aqaid and the beliefs in which one should also have the correct and the right belief, that we avoid ourselves to commit billah, shirk, to fall in that the net of believing in the shirk notions and aqidah. And this hadith is found in Kitab Amali al-Mufid.
MashaAllah. Sheikh, there's some questions coming in from our viewers. I think they're from the WhatsApp. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalam.
Can my father marry my mother's sister if my mother has passed away?
So basically, if
the wife passed away,
yeah,
can I marry the deceased wife's sister?
Yeah, I think it is possible, yes, because you cannot. The Quran says, وَأَن تَجْمَعُوا بَيْنَ الْأُخْتَيْنِ. You can't have two wives
at the
same time with both our sisters. So one dies, then of course one can marry the other.
Another one from one of our viewers. What are the nullifiers of Islam? Is doubting Islam or having uncertain thoughts about it nullify someone's Islam? I think they're talking about, Sheikhna, being considered a Muslim. What nullifies you being a Muslim? What takes you out of the fold of Islam?
Of course, to disbelieve in Allah Azza wa Jal, disbelieve in the Holy Prophet, the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Disbelieving, of course, takes the one out of Islam. Also, if one disbelieves in the wajib ahkam, such as Salah, for example, and so forth. But in overall, such individuals, sometimes they have been influenced by the society, by the media, by some others, in which they have now doubts has been raised in their mind. So the best thing is the one be able to guide them, speak to them, invite them, try to attract them towards, again, piety, taqwa, invite them towards the majalis of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. May Allah guide them towards the right path. Inshallah.
Sheikhna, assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
As a Muslim, what can we do for Saudi's de-Islamization of holy places or allowing non-Islamic activities in recent times? Sheikhna, you might be well aware that in Saudi Arabia there was the whole issue of they're opening a casino of some sort, slowly we've been seeing how they've been inviting other, musical events, big celebrity superstars to have events in their country. As Muslims who, let's say, we do not like how these sacred lands are being used, what can we do?
Well, to be honest, we had and we still have the priority of building or rebuilding the Baqi' cemetery and graveyard. We have 4 of Imam alayhim salam and other believing individuals buried in that cemetery and was destroyed by the Wahhabis, by the Saudi led government about 100 years ago, and nobody did anything. Still those graves are being demolished and destroyed. So you have to work on the basis of the problem, the fundamental issue, in which would inshallah, by gaining that opportunity to rebuild them, eventually things will be also fixed inshallah. And you have to start from the very top. We have to think from the top rather than just going and telling them, of course these are vice acts, munkarat, opening casinos and bringing singers and music festivals, all haram, of course. But you have to go work on the main top issue that caused these all issues. You have a corrupt government that needs to be changed completely. And inshallah, it is inshallah the last days and months and years of this government, inshallah.
Sheikhna, is it permissible for a lady to sit around the dinner table with her in-laws or other male relatives who are non-mahram to her?
You see, it is permissible with the condition that
She's in
there's
full
no...
hijab?
Sorry?
She's in full hijab?
Hijab is, of course, we have no issue. They are believing men and women.
Yes.
But there are, let's say, cousins sitting there as well. But in overall, the issue of banter, of cracking jokes, of mufakiha with the opposite gender, even if she, or let's say he from both sides, is your cousin, but she's non-mahram. You know, in other words, she's like a strange woman in the street in terms of the shari'i hukum. You can't look at her hair, for example. So we have to preserve all these rights and rules of the sharia, that there's no haram involved in such gatherings. Just a professional, formal meeting, that should be fine, inshallah.
Inshallah. Sheikh, now according to His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sheikh Bashir Najafi, when we do the ghusl al-Jum'ah, especially when we do it qadha, does that suffice for wudu, or do we have to perform our wudu separate?
The Friday ghusl, according to Ayatollah Najafi, of course you can do the qadha on Saturday if you can't do it on Friday. So ghusl al-Jum'ah, qadha on Saturday. For those who can't make it on Friday because they're at work, the weather is cold, freezing, they can't do the ghusl and, let's say, leave the house. In overall, that's allowed. But the Sheikh says that it is not a replacement for wudu.
Oh, I see.
Like Ayatollah Shirazi and others, he would consider that you cannot do ghusl of Jum'ah, of Friday, and straight go for Salah. You have to do wudu with it. Unlike others, like Ayatollah Sistani and others, they would say no, even with the ghusl al-Jum'ah, you can do the ghusl and go to pray. It will suffice from the act of wudu.
I see. Ahsan. Sheikh, now, it is known that the act of worship that requires wudu, ghusl or tayammum are prohibited upon a woman with menstruation. Are there any acts of worship that do not require wudu, ghusl or tayammum?
Yes, of course. The
Dhikr, I think, is okay.
Salat al-Mayyit, the
Okay.
prayer on the deceased,
Yes.
doesn't need any kind of
Yes.
purification, so the one can attend without. Because you see, Salat al-Mayyit is, they call it Salah, but it's actually a dua.
Dua, yes.
Dua for the Mayyit. So you don't have to basically be in wudu, in purity, and then, there's a takbirah, for example, like the Salah. There are takbirat, but as I've said, it's not like a proper Salah, where you need purity and tahara to basically join the Salah. And it's not like the jamaa, as I've said before, that you have to repeat whatever has been said by the Imam when he prays the Salat al-Mayyit, Salat al-Janazah. You repeat with him, you can't be, just keep silence and just listen to him.
Sheikh, is it permissible to purchase the bricks and timber belonging to a mosque?
If the legal Shari'i trustees would allow you to do so, yeah, that's fine. And of course, they would sell it to replace it with another or new building materials, for example. They want to refurbish the building, then that should be fine.
Oh, I see. Sheikh, we've got some more questions here coming from our viewers. Assalamu alaikum. I prayed jamaa prayer at home with the family and I led the prayers. One day my wudu broke mid-salah. In this case, what should I do? And the people behind me, what is their hukam?
So basically, he was the Imam Jama'ah.
Yeah. Lost wudu during the prayer. What does he do mid-prayer? How does it work?
It seems to be there are different opinions with this regard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because his salah is batil. Now, shall he inform them? I think there are different opinions with this regard. I've read something about it.
I mean, it happened to a friend of mine once. He wasn't the Imam of the Jama'ah, but he was in the Jama'ah. And what the person did was, they forgot they had wudu. They did not have wudu. They forgot to do the wudu. So they were praying Salah. Mid-Salah, he turned around and said, oh, I don't have wudu. And he said, you must carry on farada by yourselves while I go and perform wudu and come back. So that's what he did in that situation.
I mean, yes, we have this hukum that you can switch to farada and leave the jama'ah. That is an option, basically. Can be done, yeah.
Another question, Sheikhna. In my jama'ah prayers, Imam loses consciousness mid-sujood. As people praying behind him, what should we do? It's a really good question, actually, Sheikhna. So let's say you're in a jama'ah, you're going to sujood, sujood's taking a bit too long, the Imam of jama'ah has lost consciousness in it. If there's something odd or peculiar in your jama'ah salah, what should one do? Should they go farada and carry on themselves? Do they get up and have a look? How does it work?
I mean, if it's too long and you haven't heard anything from the Imam, then of course, as I've said, you can switch to jamaa. I'm not sure if this position can be done in this position of sujood to switch to jamaa, to farada. But anyhow, I mean, if in some cases they would say if it's a serious condition, somebody is, losing life, you can abort your salah and go and save that individual. So it depends really on the situation. If it's serious, then maybe one of them can go and save or help or give first aid to this Imam of the Jama'ah who had just fall down. So,
Sheikh, a Muslim in the West claims that he used to drive in his country for many years and support his claims with a document from a given source so that he gets a preferable rate of his insurance premium. Is he allowed to change the fact in his statement? Is it permissible to help him with this purpose? According to His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani.
the Sayyid mentions that lying for such mentioned condition or scenario is not permissible. These are, at the end of the day, private companies in which you are insuring your car with, and you cannot, basically claim for paying less money, saving your money with fraud, with falsified or documents, for example. No, you have to be honest with those companies, and you tell them whatever has been there recorded. And Allah Azza wa Jal is the Razzaq. Allah is the one who sustains, and not these fraud acts.
Sheikh, if a person who is in possession of something or is handling it notifies and asserts that it is najis, so if someone said the platter or the thing that is in his or her hand is najis, can we take his word?
Well, to be honest, one must basically avoid and refrain from such situation, because we have something called assertion by one who is in possession. So as long as they have possession of these utensils, let's say, or clothes, and they say to you that this is najis, then you have to, of course, avoid using them.
Awesome. Sheikh, if a discerning child recites a verse from the Holy Quran that requires obligatory prostration, then he is obliged to prostrate. Is this true or false according to the opinion of His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani?
We have 4 surah with wajib sajda.
We mentioned
in
last
that,
time.
The verses of sajda.
Surah Najm, Surah Alaq.
Ahsant. Surah Fussalat and sajda.
Yes.
Sajda wajiba. According to His Eminence, yes.
Excellent. Sheikh, more questions coming in from our viewers. What is Dhil Arab nights? What is the Dhil Arab nights, and would they affect my child if conceived on these nights by accident?
I think he means Qamar fil Aqrab.
The Scorpion.
A Scorpio passes through the moon, the moon site. Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, we have a narration in this regard that one should avoid intercourse in this night,
intimate with their wife,
because of the child issue. So no one should avoid it. I mean,
fair enough.
To refrain, yes.
Is it Islamically permissible to regrow your foreskin? How would you regrow your foreskin? I don't know. But okay, Sheikhna, if one is circumcised and then later on the foreskin grows back, is that Islamically okay, or should they be circumcised again?
I'm not sure about this issue because I haven't heard such a thing before.
Yes.
So we'll have to refer back to the ulama with this regard.
No problem. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Question, please. Ayatollah Sistani allows classical music, and Ayatollah Shirazi says no to music. However, does Ayatollah Shirazi, why does Ayatollah Shirazi not allow music or musical instruments?
Yes, I've actually asked His Eminence Ayatollah Shirazi when I was in Qom, in his presence about 3 years ago, and he said that the ulama, or some ulama, brought down the hurma of the songs, which is haram, the ones which are with amusements and,
Yes.
as you know, they brought down the hurma towards the classical music as well. So basically, this is how they issued their fatwa, or ihtiyat at least, that even the classical music are haram. Others said no. If there's no evidence, strong evidence, why should we say that the classical music is also haram? Yes, the haram one, the forbidden one, is the ones which are played and used in, let's say, in a corrupt way. Let's say DJ, I don't know, other types of music, in which, of course, they play it in nightclubs, for example, discos and so forth. These are haram types of amusing or joyful music. But the ones which are normally used in, let's say, I don't know, let's say in nasheeds, for example,
Yes.
they should be fine, for example, because they're classical. But as I've said, some said no, because of the actual evidence, which is about the songs. They would brought down the hukm also for the classical as well. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalam.
Can we send curses upon the Muslim leaders or Muslim nations who are working against Islam, like many Islamic countries working in favor of Israel?
Basically, when you go back to Quran, you will find many ayat in which curses or sends la'na towards those who are against Allah or against the Holy Prophet Azza wa Jal. So, of course, one should try to implement or bring those leaders or governments in which they are oppressing people in the name of Islam, torturing, killing Muslims themselves, like what's happening now in Yemen, for example. The Saudis, of course,
Yes.
they deserve to be cursed and la'na upon because of their suppress and killing
Oppress.
civilians and innocent people.
Innocent, yeah.
So, of course, they deserve to be sent la'na upon.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Is it halal for women to show their feet in public from the opinion of Sayyid Sistani, inshallah?
I've read something, I'm not sure exactly.
Because I thought the Sayyid Salih is very strict with
Yes,
they're not
yeah,
allowed to
they're not
show.
allowed.
Yeah.
I think the Sayyid says the bottom part should be covered, I think.
Okay,
But I'm not definitely sure. So there's something the Sayyid mentions, yes.
I see. Salam.
Assalam.
I was brought up to remove any blood in raw eggs before cooking. Please, could you tell me if there is a Quranic or Hadith reference for this, to remove blood from raw eggs?
You see, the ulama would again extract these ahkam from the sources, from the Hadith, for example, that, for example, the blood is najis in overall. They would go to the principle of these ahkam. Now, if you find this blood in anywhere, it's najis. So if it's in eggs, it's najis as well. So the blood, as long as it's najis, wherever you find it, you have to avoid it.
I see.
So yeah.
No problem. Sheikh, let's go to our Shia Plus video and inshallah let's help our Shabab with the issue that they have on this episode.
I'm feeling some snacks today. Ooh, we got some nice walkers over here. Yes. Okay, it's suitable vegetarian. That's good. It's okay. But it's smoky bacon flavored. Is that halal?
There we have Amir Raza there picking up a very popular brand of crisps. Sheikhna, bacon crisps, but it says suitable vegetarians. There's no animal used in it whatsoever. It's just flavoring and so forth. Are these halal to consume?
Well, if this food was absolutely vegetarian, definitely there's no animal contamination. I don't know if you want to call it, I don't know, pork or bacon flavor. As long as there's no haram animal ingredients within this product, it's halal, of course.
Yes.
Because it could be transformed istihala from najasa to purity, as we mentioned. The red wine vinegar is halal, but the red wine is haram.
Yes.
But when it becomes vinegar, it becomes halal.
Yes.
So it depends really.
Yes, I think with a lot of these as well, these products, Sheikhna, they use different spices and so forth to make a flavor or a taste. I beg your pardon. So it's like in this case, like with bacon crisps, they don't use any pork whatsoever. It's just, you know, like cayenne pepper and paprika and other things to mix it, and it tastes like bacon, but it's not really bacon at all. Sheikh, if one performs the wudu in order to cool down or to clean his arms from dirt or for any other intention, would his wudu remain valid?
You see, the wudu, like other ibadat, it's a part of the worships. In other words, you need a pure intention. قربة Allah Ta'ala, to perform the wudu, to perform the salah, fast, hajj, and so forth. They need intention, getting near or close to Allah Azza wa Jalla Almighty's pleasure and acceptance. So you need the qurbah. If the intention was to cool down, of course, that wudu would be batil. But if you have the original intention that is qurbatullah ta'ala, and of course I want to also, because it's a hot weather, for example, it's a good opportunity. I'll do my wudu and I get, of course, the opportunity of cooling down. But the original niyyah was to qurbatullah ta'ala, that should be suffice.
Sheikh, there are more questions coming in from our viewers. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Does Sayyid Sistani allow qawwali music to be halal? I think we'll have to go and ask the office about that one.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is got music for the Sufi background. Assalamu alaikum. My question today is about muta. Is it really halal? Everything about the concept feels very haram to me. Is there any evidence that it is halal?
I mean, go back to the Holy Quran. فَإِنِ اسْتَمْتَعْتُمْ فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ. The verse of the muta is mentioned in the Holy Quran. I'm not sure which verse, which ayah.
I think everyone knows.
So it's very clear.
It's the Surah Al-Nisa. I think it's verse 124.
Yeah, so basically the verse is there, and the Sunnah is there, the Shia source and the Sunni source. Yes, the one who made it controversial or made it haram is Umar ibn Khattab. When he came to power, after a while he said, متعتان كانتا على عهد الرسول وأنا أحرمهما. يعني Umar became in the place of Rasulullah for changing the salah, changing the adhan, changing the ahkam. So this is Sunnat Umar, in which he made it haram and refrained people from marrying. This is a marriage with all conditions, that she must be such and such. If she's virgin, you need the permission from the father. If she is, for example, she had a previous husband, of course you need iddah to purify.
Yes.
You see, it's a proper marriage. But sadly, some people misused it, and some people, of course, distorted the image of the mut'ah in this way. So even as I've said, Ahl Sunnah, they have similar marriages, but they don't want to call it mut'ah. They call it misyar, misfar, marriage with the intention of divorce. They have all these things, and they perform it in Egypt, in the Arabia nation, but they don't call it mut'ah. But it's very similar to us.
Really good question, Sheikh. One of our viewers. Salam. Are there any signs that shows that Allah has forgiven me? How do we know our repentance is accepted?
Basically, this is of course one of the ilm al-ghayb, Allah Azza wa Jal. We don't know part of Allah's ghayb, but the one should basically practice the wajib and refrain the haram and monitor himself and observe himself and herself. Inshallah, Allah would accept our amal. We do our best. Don't cheat, don't lie, don't oppress others, don't take others' haqq and huquq al-nas, pay the wajib haqq towards Allah, towards the people.
Yes.
Be a good individual. Allah Azza wa Jalla would, of course,
inshallah,
forgive you, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalam.
I've had many interactions with women for marriage purposes. However, I'm not gaining any good responses. I've reached an older age where no woman wants me anymore. As a result, I've decided to become pansexual, which means not attracted to any gender, and refrain from all sexual and material activity so I could refrain from sin. Is this Islamically viable, Shaykhana?
The prophetic hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he states, "An-nikahu sunnati, faman raghiba an sunnati falaysa min." Nikah and the marriage is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had wives, and Ahlul Bayt alayhi had wives, and the companions had wives as well. Why should we refrain from marriage? Don't lose hope.
Ahsant.
You have to go and forward, and inshallah you'll find, definitely you'll find. But you need patience and dua and tawakkul Allah Azza wa Jal
Ahsant.
with more efforts, inshallah.
Ahsant. I have a question for the Sheikh. I work as a construction architect, and sometimes in my work I have to design nightclubs, bars, etc. Is this allowed?
You see, what we have in the Holy Quran, i'ana ala al-ithim, the meaning of the verse, that supporting vice and evil, supporting the sins. So we have to forward this question to the marja to see if this would be also i'ana ala al-ithim, supporting the vice and the evil, then of course it becomes haram. Otherwise, no. So it depends really how directly is the work and the job is.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam.
Can we declare jihad or wage war on non-Muslims to spread Islam? Is it permissible according to Quran and Hadith?
We never had such a thing before in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Imam Ali alayhi salam. Yes, the others went to war, they wanted to expand other countries, but Rasulullah, all his battles and wars were in defense line, defending the territory and the religion. Even Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he went to Basra for the camel or the Harb al-Jamal, to defend, he had no choice. Also, Muawiyah, when he invaded Iraq, the Imam went to war as well to defend. And even the Khawarij themselves in Nahrawan, the Imam went to defend. So all wars were defensive. We don't have such a thing that go to Spain, go to other places and open and kill and get maids and slaves. We don't have such a thing.
Awesome. Sheikhna, is it permissible to perform salah on ice in the polar regions?
What is important in salah that you preserve or observe the motionlessness in salah and stability. So praying on ice is like praying on the hard floor and on the earth. It's earth, part of the earth. Something strong and hard, you pray on it, stable and motionless. But in some situations where the ice is moving or melting, where there's no motionlessness, then of course one cannot pray on such place unless he's compelled, the time is running out, will be qada, then of course they can do so and pray on these places.
Is there a difference in niqab performance in Sunni and Shia Maslik?
Basically, Ayatollah Rouhani was asked about this question, and he says that there's no difference between the wording or the uttering of the nikah contract and the manner of the contract between the Shia and the Sunni. Almost they're similar or the same. زوجتك نفسي قبلت. That's it. The same words they use almost. Yes. So that's the condition that they have to use what we use basically to be valid. However, he would say that the difference is in the provisions. Basically, Ahlul Sunnah nikah contract is with the condition of having witnesses, 2 witnesses in that marriage. You must have witnesses.
Yes.
Unlike the Ahlul Shia, no, the Shia says it's mustahab to have witnesses, but it's not wajib. But for the divorce, it's the opposite situation. We say that in the divorce, we must have at least 2 adil, just witnesses, shuhud udul, in divorce. They said no, Ahlul Sunnah say that it's not wajib. So you see, even in divorce and marriage, it's been changed. That's why we have complaint to Allah Azza wa Jal from those who changed Islam from inside.
I see.
That even the marriage and divorce is different, sadly. And that's because they left Rasulullah alone and ran towards the Khilafah, the leadership. For dunya, of course, it wasn't for akhirah at all. The Khulafa, the so-called Khulafa who took over, and then the Amawids and the Marwanis and Abbasids, they came for the lustful of this dunya.
Moving on from that, Sheikh, now, we have a really good question from one of the viewers. Salams, why do Sunnis knowingly agree with the killers of the Prophet's family, alayhi salam? Makes no sense.
Initially, this is their aqidah and belief. That's it. We are the leaders. We have leadership, and the leader and the Khalifa, whatever he does, he's got the permission, in other words, to do whatever he wants. He's Khalifatullah. He can do whatever he wants. So basically, this is the aqidah, part of the aqidah, their aqidah and belief. Number two, some of them reject that. No, they loved Ahlul Bayt. They never killed Ahlul Bayt. They never touched them in this way that you Shia claim. It never happened. So even for the Yazid who killed Imam Hussein, it's no, it's not Yazid. It's Ibn Ziyad, the La'in. They curse him. That he was the one who pushed Ahl Kufa and others to go and kill Al-Hussein alayhi salam. So you see this extent of basically deviating the truth from the history. It never existed.
Sheikhna, assalamu alaikum. Please help us by explaining how to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, improve our akhlaq, our manners.
3 things if you can do, inshallah. Number 1 is to learn the aqa'id,
Okay.
the oneness of Allah Azza wa Jal, have some ma'rifah of Allah Azza wa Jal, that laysa kamithlihi shay'un, nothing is like him, and know about his greatness, his asma, his names. And then from aqa'id, of course, we have the Imam as well, to read about the Ahl Bayt alayhi salam, the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. And then you move towards the ahkam. Learn the ahkam of Allah Azza wa Jal. What is haram and what is wajib? Learn them. That brings you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. And number 3, the akhlaq mentioned. That you learn what is good akhlaq. How to treat my son, how to treat my wife. How to be a good example in the community. Aqa'id, ahkam, akhlaq. Learn them, study them, and inshallah we'll find a way.
Inshallah. Sheikhna, are animal testicles allowed to be consumed? There's a whole list of body parts of the animal
Exactly,
which are not
which are
allowed.
Forbidden, exactly. Yeah.
I remember there was like the spinal cord nerve.
Yes, it's all forbidden. Yeah.
Testicle. What about the lungs? Are the lungs okay allowed? I don't think they are.
I haven't heard anything about it.
There's a whole. I remember reading in the Salah Amaliyah. There's a whole list of it. But yeah, animal testicles not allowed to be eaten. Another question here, Sheikhna. I think we've answered this last week, but Assalamu alaikum. Why do other people in Islam, when they pray, they say Ameen after Surah Fatiha? As Shias, are we allowed to say it also?
I think we mentioned something last week that it is not permissible and the Salah will be batil. You can't say Ameen in Salah. What you can say in Salah is Quran, dua, and tasbih, dhikrullah azza wa jalla. So Quran is, let's say you can say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen in Salah, anywhere, مثلا. Or مثلا Bismillah, something that mentions the Holy Quran. Or for example, dua. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة, that's part of Quran as well. And also dhikr, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah.
Fantastic. Final question, Sheikhna, from one of our viewers. Why is it in the Quran written Muslims are brothers, but not women are sisters?
You see, in general, we see this, that the Quran uses the masculine rather than, huwa, than here, for example. So it's mainly used in this way in the Holy Quran, and even some narrations, or most of the narrations, that they use huwa. So, al-mu'minun, not mu'minat. But we have a narration which says, al-mu'minun, ba'dhum awliya'u ba'd, ya'muruna bil ma'ruf wa yanhawna 'anil munkar. So we have such a narration, specifically mentions al-mu'minat as well. So we have, but in overall, this is how it works, that the masculine is mainly used in the Holy Quran.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Sorry, last one. We keep getting questions. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalam.
What age should we make compulsion of hijab and parda on women?
The hijab for women, of course, when the girl reaches the age of, completes the age of 9 and towards 10, of course, she becomes baligh and wajib for her to wear the hijab. But we try to teach them in the very early age, say 6, 7, slowly, encourage them, buy them gifts, take them to the, let's say, supermarkets, buy them sweets and so forth with the hijab, and encourage them and make it more attractive for them.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sheikhna. Thank you to all of you for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send your questions in via the WhatsApp, the email address. Inshallah, we'll be able to discuss them all on Monday's episode. If you have TikTok, follow us on TikTok at Ahkam SOS, where we'll be loading loads of material. And we do answer your questions on TikTok as well. If we haven't answered your questions on this episode, we do apologize because we've run out of time and we've been bombarded with so many questions. But inshallah, we'll answer those questions and all of your new questions on Monday, 6:30 here on Imam Hussein TV3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Gather queries of your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Whilst this winter many of you will be enjoying the festive season, Afghanistan is going through a crisis. Every winter the weather will reach temperatures as low as -18 degrees Celsius. With little finances and homes not adequate enough to keep the heat in, many families struggle during this season. The elderly are vulnerable and physically challenged to fight the cold during these days and nights. Young children must walk through snow and ice in order to get to school and return to a chilly and bitter cold home. Imam Hussein Development and Relief Foundation are determined to help. We will be providing households with coal to burn throughout the winter. $150 is all we need. $150 will be enough to provide heat and warmth for one household for the whole of winter. That's $150 for 4 months. You can donate via PayPal, bank transfer, or visit us at www.ihdrf.org to make a donation. Our Imams tell us the best of you are those who help those who are desperate. Help us spread the warmth. Thank you.
Imam Hussein Media Group is a virtual university that works on a global scale to spread the true message of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt's peace and blessings be upon them. Imam Hussein TV was established 10 years ago in the city of Isfahan, Iran. We work to cover all aspects of religion, Islamic jurisprudence, politics, philosophy, and many more, and aim to bring the public's attention to the righteous Islamic sect, Shia Islam. Our ultimate goal as a media group is to convey the interpretations of the Holy Quran, as well as the traditions and knowledge of the Holy Prophet and his progeny, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon them. Our objectives are to protect and safeguard the Shia youth from the destructive impact of immoral ideologies, standing up against injustice by documenting the oppression of Shia across the globe, as well as encouraging peace and unity amongst the Muslims. To reach our aims and serve the Muslim Ummah, we require a budget that would cover all the expenses for our productions, allowing us to work on different projects. Imam Hussein Media Group is a crowd-funded project. We have no sales nor do we charge for our services. We solely rely on monthly payments, financial contributions, donations, religious alms, and generous gifts. The expenses of each production varies depending on the type of project and the style of filming. There are many elements to a production that requires time and capital. The producer must analyze the costs of the venue hire, equipment, transport, feature fees, set design, staff support, and further additional costs. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, narrated, "The best of people is he from whom people benefit." It is up to you to help the Muslim Ummah come together and help guide the youth in remaining on the correct path of Islam. To take part in this global conquest and to spread the message of Imam Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him, please visit www.imamhussein3.tv or give us a call on +44 0203 515 0199. You can also contact us via WhatsApp, Telegram, SMS, or even email us on donate@imamhussein.tv. Let's work together hand in hand to elevate the faith of our Shia youth today.
IHDRF is proud to announce the launch of its app, Sadaqah. Sadaqah is a modern, easy, and interactive way for you to pay your charity. Your Sadaqah can be transferred instantly and directly start helping orphans. Furthermore, you can donate to different projects such as clothing orphans, supplying clean water, heating fuel for the winter, and feeding the hungry. When you pay your Sadaqah, It will be used to feed, clothe, and school orphans.